So, so I saw on the website that there's a Michael Edwards on the committee now.
Okay, this is recording now, so it's live.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yes,
Okay.
the council did approve of Michael Edwards. I'm not sure if he was sent acknowledgement of this appointment or not, but he was on the committee before, and then they moved away and he moved back. But
Right.
he should be on the committee.
I don't think he was on the email list. I
Oh,
noticed him on the website when I went to, so maybe he just hasn't gotten the formal acknowledgement.
perhaps.
I had no idea. I'd heard nothing that somebody was appointed.
Yeah, I only know that because I went to look for the February minutes and saw his name on the website. So. Okay, all right, I'll be quiet and you can call our meeting to order.
No, so we'll call this meeting to order. This is when I would turn to Anne Marie and say, "Hey, is everybody here?" So it looks like Sarah and Don and I are present, and Mitch and Michael are not.
Yes, Michael Edwards. Michael Edwards.
Okay. All right. So I want to thank whoever it was, maybe Tony Lasoya, who sent out, or David, who sent out the minutes of the last meeting, which was in June. It seems like forever ago. Does anyone have any changes, or I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes, but if we want to talk about them, it's been a while. I gave them a quick read this evening.
It looks fine to me.
Okay. Given the time that's elapsed, I mean, they could have said just about anything, and I would have been, sounds like something I would have said. So, Dawn, how about you?
Yeah, I wasn't able to attend the meeting, so as far as I know, it's what you said.
Okay, great. Great. So is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Yes.
And a second?
I'll second.
Great. All right. All those in favor? All right.
Aye.
Okay, great. Motion approved. Thank you for the minutes. Pardon me, I'm sharing screens on a very small laptop here. Next up then, I think it's Councillor Casper with, I think there's 3 different items here. The agenda says the Solid Waste Advisory Committee update and an intro, and I believe that's probably going to be to meet Mr. Seitz, and then I'll just let you take it away, Judy.
Yeah, I was hoping Tina French would be here as well, but I wanted to introduce you to our new Sanitary Waste Advisory Committee coordinator. Is that what you all are? Is a coordinator? Paul Seitz, and he is coordinating all the efforts of the cities in Lincoln County. And I felt it really important for our committee here to understand and know what was going on countywide and what kind of a direction we're looking at and going forward. Paul comes to us with like 25 years of experience in various municipalities. And so I'm really excited for him to join us tonight so he can kind of explain to all of you what's going on, and so we don't have to reinvent the wheel ourselves, and perhaps we can kind of work together in a direction for the betterment of our entire city and county. So Paul, maybe you can introduce yourself and tell them a little bit about you and what our committee does.
Sure. Paul Seitz, yeah, I'm the new solid waste manager here at the solid waste district in Lincoln County. Thank you for the nice intro. My goal, and what the goal of this program really is to make a cooperative effort between the county's programs, the 3 franchised haulers, all of the depots and transfer stations, and each of the cities who franchise out also those same services in your city areas. And so the more we can build cooperative and cohesive programs that we're all on the same kind of page and same messages, the better our groups of people in our communities know what's going on, from the business community, from the residential community, doesn't have to just be the households, it can also be businesses, it can also be tourist outreach. So there's a whole bunch of areas that we want to do outreach. And we also have the forest program, which reduces illegal dumping out the local forests. So there's a number of areas that we have fingers in, and the idea is not to come in and tell you folks how to do it, but to find out what the community is doing and find that common thread, the common string to bring folks together and weave something as a cohesive program. And that's kind of what my goal is. I've been here a month and a half, wonderful, wonderful groups, came out and met virtually everyone, whether on this kind of format or out in their actual facilities. And what a wonderful community. It's been a wonderful experience so far. Did you want me to go into any details on any of the programs, or what would you like, Ms. Judy? How can I assist your group?
Well, yeah, I'd like you to remember the projected ideas you had to cover our agenda. I think that the committee might be interested in those ideas.
Okay, so we have a regional solid waste advisory committee in which Ms. Judy sits on, and we have in this group an attempt to do several programs. And coming up, you're going to see an organics program specific to your city. I think that's going to be the key item that we're going to be starting to work on. In spring, your solid waste franchise hauler is going to be introducing, I believe you've already approved the rates in the city, and I believe we will be approving rates in the county just outside of your city for organics program, and introducing curbside organics for your households. And that also may trickle into your businesses. And so we're going to be chatting about how we want to introduce those programs and where we're going to head with those. I'm sorry, I should have brought more of my agenda right in front of me. We will be working with Solve and the beach cleanup folks, because they're changing their program, and they're going to work with our haulers on how they're changing their program so it doesn't impact your garbage cans at the city as badly as when they go around and collect stuff out of season. We have a number of different programs. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank as to the whole agenda, so I'm not going to try and run down that agenda, but we have education outreach that will bring together the programs, the like household hazardous waste programs that we just had an event here, and in next year, I believe it's going to be held in Lincoln City, so at North Lincoln Sanitary. So that will be something that you'll hear about, and we can communicate with you with. So that group works on a number of initiatives that would impact the sustainability committee and the messages you want to get out. Did I do okay, Judy, or did I just?
Yeah, you did great. You did great. I also wonder if you can just touch on the Juno project, because a lot of us have wondered, well, what happened and why did we stop, the Toledo factory with yard debris and waste, and now they're going to assume the Juno program. Do you know a little bit about that you can enlighten us with?
So when I said I've got to tour around and visit folks, it was my first experience to meet out with the folks at Doll Disposal, and he said, well, do you know what the Juno? I said, no, I didn't know what Juno was. He threw me in the pickup truck, we drove out there. And that's the only exposure I've had to it. I've asked a number of times. I just got an email today from Chuck, who's the Doll Disposal guy, who said he's trying to work on getting me some stuff from them, and we're going to sit down and hopefully have some meetings. We've only had that one experience, but what I learned, so the Juno project is a fabrication plant. I don't know what else to call it. It's going to take bundled waste, and so you take cups that we normally would dispose of, I would say aseptics and things that we normally think of as trash, we don't want to encourage going to into recycling programs. They will actually take that because they're going to pulp that material and put that directly into their cardboard facility. They have some small, in doing my research, they have some small miniature versions they constructed back in, I believe it's Georgia. And they tested it, and they're going to build the full-size plant out here in Toledo. That full-size plant is due to be opened in January of 2021. And you need to include some people in this if you're going to launch this thing, And we're trying to get those meetings together to find out. I don't know if they're on schedule, not on schedule. The building is not completed in any way, shape, or form at this point. But a lot of that material that they were clearing off was just for the construction workers. There are teams of cars. I mean, just from all over the US of professionals who are building this thing, putting together different parts. So it's quite a complex and industrious effort on their part. I just would like to learn a little bit more myself, but that's what I know at this point. I've been there. I know that they're going to be taking a waste stream from us. They will have capacity that's far in excess of what our region can produce. And so they're going to be trying to get more material. So that means everyone here in this region could participate, but what exactly that is and what they're hoping to do, if we have separate rates, routes, or services, I don't yet know.
Okay, thank you. And then there was also a space for another person on a committee, the statewide advisory committee. You said there are 3 slots, and perhaps there was someone on our committee who could.
Yeah. So this is the Association of Oregon Recyclers, and rather than an advisory committee, this is a group. This is kind of a nonprofit group focused on bringing together the smartest minds in the state on markets and materials for recycling. When I first came to the state, it's who I joined, hung out with. What a great group of people. Previously, it was very oriented towards municipalities and governments, and I would say it's leaning now more towards 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 municipalities, governments, organizations, and then haulers, which is a good addition to that group, because you don't want to just have the government perspective, you also want to have the industry perspective and the community perspective, which I think they balanced out pretty well. I had not been part of it for a number of years because I had been doing other things, but I'm now getting back into the solid waste world. And as I go, when I join as a Lincoln County, to the organization, I can bring along 3 additional people with me as members. And so that I've offered to Judy as an opportunity for anyone who might be interested in attending AOR conferences. You have to pay your own conference dues and fees, but as far as needing to pay the fees to join AOR, I can have 3 people join. You get all their newsletters, you can get on their posts, you can send them messages and ask them questions. AOR is a good group, and there's Tina. She can speak for AOR. And so that's what I have, is the opportunity to invite people along with me to AOR by joining. And so I could take 1 member from each city. I could take members from the Lincoln County area. Whoever would like to join, I have that ability. I just thought I'd throw that as an offering if anyone's interested. Do you want anything about AOR? It's a cool selling point for this group, Ms. Tina?
I think I've actually, some of their forums I think have been really helpful in the past. I know Ron was going to go to one with me in the past, and then it was canceled. But some of the tours and the forums, you know, for community programs and projects, I think have been definitely helpful for me and, you know, our company. But you know, various times there's always different stuff. Unfortunately, with COVID right now, you know, everything's gone virtual. So I haven't looked. Have you looked at their virtual lineup for
the sustainability one? That's going to be, yeah, there's going to be a sustainability conference in the next couple of weeks, I believe. I believe Amy Thompson from Thompson's Disposal is presenting in that. I've not had a chance to actually look. I was thinking of joining in October because that's when their cycle begins on October 1st, and then bring along folks to the next conference. Their biggest highlight is their conference, but as Tina mentioned, they also have these tours. They'll send, hey, this alerts, this product is no longer going to be recycled or something like that. You can pay attention to what's going on. It's, like I say, materials-oriented organization.
Yeah, the forums have been really good in the past. especially, during the green fence issues that we dealt with in '08, and then the China stuff that we dealt with in '18. So I think it's definitely beneficial. And the sustainability conference, if I read it correctly this year, instead of it all being in 2 days, I think they're doing several like lunchtime things on Wednesdays. If I read that correctly, Paul, I'm not
For
sure.
web, yeah, for web, so that way people can join on the web virtually and do it over their lunches and not miss other panels.
Right.
Yeah. Any other topics, Miss Judy?
I think that about covers everything. Thank you very much. And I hope that gave a little more information to the committee. Dave, I just wanted to give an overview of what's going on in the county for all of you. I know you left off with a focus on food food containers. Was that one of your focuses? And then the COVID came along, and then we were all kind of lucky just to have food, period, to take out. So I wanted to kind of add that to your options there, looking at composting and the organics rollout as it comes out in the spring. And maybe there's something that we could all do together to help focus for the city and for the committee.
Well, thanks. And yeah, I'm excited about the upcoming composting issue. And Tina was talking about it last night at City Council, and the new totes with the, instructions on, they're brown, right? So hopefully I'll be able to tell it apart in the dark from my other ones. I'm sure I can. But yeah, I want to throw it open. Sarah, Dawn, anyone have any questions for Judy or any of our guests?
When is the composting going to be rolled out?
March of 21.
March. Okay.
If I could chime in, we're going to work with Tina, actually with all the haulers right now, on a universal compost education program. That will also include the rollout of your program, home composting, some videos about what happens to it. Ultimately, if everything goes well, I'll get all these things put together. We're trying to get some artists right now to do some of the background work, and then you'll have some materials to go along with it in advance of that rollout to help support Tina's group. And it'll be a message that we're doing countywide, so that it's not just your program. You get to launch the program and get all the attention, but it wouldn't be different than the programs that are in other places. And so there wouldn't be confusion. And that's what we're trying to make sure we maintain a cohesive program.
And then just to follow up, Dave, with your, so it's a blue roll cart with a brown lid, but the lid will be impregnated with the graphic of what goes in it, just like the recycle lids were. So it will have, food scraps, trimmings, blah, 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 and then the major contaminants as well, of the no-nos of what not to put in it. So hopefully between that and, print and video, and we're trying to, do it from a multifaceted education piece starting in January. People will, understand it and hopefully understand the benefit. Something interesting today, I ran a report of how many people have a different size recycle roll cart other than a 96-gallon. So the recycle program was based on a 96-gallon roll cart. And we have 525 customers that have 32-gallon recycle roll carts, because we were trying to figure out how many people might want a different compost roll cart. And so that was interesting. I've never run that number before. Now, whether they want a smaller, if they have grass, they may still want a 96-gallon compost roll cart, who knows? But so we're going to be prepared to, offer different sizes for various people.
Cool. Great. And I just want to go back to just a second. Sorry, is it Pat or Patrick? Or
Paul.
Paul?
Oh,
Peter.
Paul.
Paul. Thank you. I was
Okay.
going to go through all of them. So last night at City Council, I think, Judy, you were talking about, you have a long history in the county, right? I mean, this isn't your first dance in Lincoln County.
No.
My history?
Yeah.
Oh, my history's in Washington County. My apologies. So I come from Washington County up in the Hillsborough area, and I worked with the 26 haulers and the 11 cities, 12 cities at the time that it first started up there.
Okay, I misheard that last night, so forgive me. Never mind.
I
But
said
welcome.
you had a long history in the solid waste industry, and maybe that was the disconnect, but
I thought there was some huge power struggle with Salins and Swites, but no, I'm sure we got it all.
No.
No.
He stepped down, I stepped in.
Fantastic. And so the AOR, do I have Dawn or Sarah? Are either of you interested in throwing your hat in the ring? I don't see how I can swing that timing-wise. And given the season, Sarah, I worry about you and running that thriving business you've got.
Yeah, right now I can't really. It sounds like something that I would want to if it wasn't so nuts right now. But yeah, right now.
The offer will stand every year, by the way. I'll be able to add every year I have the opportunity, so we can add and move people around. So that'd be an easy thing to do.
Great. And it's worth remembering we have two members who couldn't be here this evening. So
Yeah.
one of whom we've not met. So he might be very interested.
and if something comes up specific, Dave, a forum or a tour that, I think would be really beneficial to something, that your committee is, either looking forward to doing or is working on currently, we'll for sure let you know, because even if you're not a member, as members, we can bring in non-members to go on something like that. So we'll keep you in the loop, even though you're not necessarily, involved on a regular basis.
Thank you.
With the sustainability conference, so that's not happening in person this year, but she was saying that it's like a virtual thing we could do online now on Wednesdays. Is there a way we can get that link emailed to us after this meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Got
Yeah,
that?
I can send it to, I have Dave's email. I can send it to Dave.
Okay, that'd be great.
Great. And David, I'll copy you on that when we distribute it so that you've got it for the minutes or whatever. Excellent. Judy, is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, I think that covers a lot of it.
Excellent. All right. So forgive me. I'm sorry. I've got a dog who's demanding attention after a long day alone. So let's see. Sarah, Dawn, what else would you like to add to the agenda? We're in business action items, and the way I read the June minutes, we didn't have anything pending for today. Before we throw it open to city staff, I guess comments by sustainability committee members technically comes after reports from city staff, but anything you want to throw in right now?
It's just to follow up on last time, the beach cleanup bingo's kind of catching on more now. We're doing one more raffle for the people that have participated. So September 15th, there'll be another prize drawing for that. And I've had a lot of people grab them from the squid here. So that's been really kind of cool. The beach cleanup bingo.
It was
we
great how quickly that got up and running.
And we have a Facebook group where people are posting their selfies, pictures of their trash and their bingo cards, and then they're entered into the drawing. So it's been pretty fun.
That's good.
So and maybe next year it'll be even more popular. So
I think so. I think that's really cool.
Can you give me a 30-second update of what that is?
sure, that's actually it was Sarah's idea. You wanna go for it, Sarah? Or?
Well, I kind of copied it off of a thing that I just saw on Facebook. It's basically just a bingo card, and you take it with you to the beach. My husband and I were always picking stuff up off the beach anyways when we walked our dogs down there. But so when I saw it online, it's basically just a bingo card where in the squares there's like, you know, food wrapper or flip flop or something like that. And so when you're on the beach, if you find those things and pick them up off, you know, as trash, you can cross off that square. And then if you bring in the completed card to either here or the community center or a couple of other places, or post a picture of yourself with your card completed on Facebook, you could be entered to win. We've given away, well, we gave away a t-shirt the first time, and then there's prizes like rec passes from the community center and a few other prizes. So people, I think, you know, they see the card, so it's kind of a reminder, and then if they actually fill it out, then it's great because it kind of creates that buzz of just, you know, if you're down at the beach anyways, you almost always see trash, so why not play a little game? So that's what it is.
So where do you get the bingo cards?
I know here, and then Dawn, where else can people pick up the actual cards? They can download it too.
Yeah, you can print them offline, and you can also get them at the community center, right, Don?
Yeah, so you can also get them, the Parks and Rec put them at all of the neighborhood library boxes, you know, the little book boxes that are all around the town. They put bingo cards there too. So I can't
And
remember.
where do you download them from?
Parks and Rec website, or from the Lincoln City Beach Cleanup Bingo Facebook group, either one.
Okay, cool. So
And
if
there's-
we had those available, that would be okay to have available at our office?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what it looks like.
Yeah, there is, we've had 2 drawings. We didn't start this until late June, I think, and we had a drawing July 15th, August 15th, and there's one more drawing. Oh, Dave just put a
Thanks, Dave. I got it.
in the chat. So,
Looks like too. Here's a little.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like.
Cool.
so there's just one more drawing this season, and then I'm hoping we'll be able to do it again. Lincoln City Audubon, that I belong to, has also participated and is a sponsor, and we give away hats and things just like the Squid and the city. So
Yeah, we would love to participate in that, and we can have lots of stuff for prizes. And then how do you get rid of the garbage? Is it just people are putting the garbage in their own cans?
yes, we didn't
Oh,
offer
okay.
any kind of a pickup or service at all. So
Okay.
I mean, this was a very last minute thing, and we definitely could, you know, partner with you and work on something that's a little more sophisticated but just as fun. So yeah, we could.
The idea. We did a project with the VCB several years ago. I brought this up in City Council last night, that a very similar idea, but they had bags. And if you filled a bag up and brought it in, you could dispose of it at our office. We gave you a ticket that entered you into a drawing for a float. So, you know, it encouraged guests to pick up that came into town as well. Oh, I'm getting an unstable internet, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, we also, one other possible idea was
We would love to participate in that.
Surfrider Foundation talked about a project they had for making bags out of like the pet food bags and things like that for cleanup, so that if you had one of those bags, you could bring it in, kind of thing. So we're not creating more plastic bags. But anyway, so yeah, there's lots of things that we could do, and maybe do it for the tourist season next year. So that'd be pretty cool.
The other thing, I know it's not in the city, but the river cleanups, I know it's always a huge mess in the fall during fishing season. And I know in the past there's been some groups, I think Solve does a river cleanup at the Salmon River for sure.
Salmon Drift Creek Watershed Council does one, maybe with Solve, I think.
Okay,
Yeah, so
cool.
yeah, that's another.
Great, thanks. So on the city reports, maybe this is a good chance to meet David. I don't know if your role, you'll be our conduit to the city the way Anne Marie was, but welcome. If you'd like to introduce yourself and tell us anything you'd like to share, we're all ears.
Thanks. I'm Dave Madison. I live up here, and right now I'm remotely in Tillamook, Oregon, up north of you guys. I've been doing planning for a long time. Ironically, I was on, when I wasn't working for Tillamook, I was on their solid waste advisory committee for a little while, and did their recycling, helped them with their recycling program. So I'm somewhat familiar with a few things you guys are talking about, and so this is really exciting.
Well, it's great to meet you, and thanks for the help organizing this meeting. I confess, I was surprised by the 6 p.m. start time. We used to meet in the afternoons, and I would put it to Dawn and Sarah. What do you think about that? Go back to afternoon or what?
Yeah, I think 3 is fine for me.
And 6
You can
p.m.
count that up for a lot of confusion on our part with turnover.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
So if you guys want to do it earlier, hey, we're there with you.
Oh, good. Yeah, 6 o'clock is hard for me. So 3 o'clock would be. So I am sorry that I didn't pay attention and notice that it actually really was 6 o'clock. I was trying to get onto the Zoom link at 3 o'clock. Anyway. So, okay. Yeah, that would be great if we could go back to 3.
And Sarah, just to confirm, that works for work for you?
Oh yeah, yeah. Today we're closed, so it's perfect. I'm here anyway because we work on our days off, but yeah, we are closed today.
I thought it looked like a day at work on a day off there, but okay, great. So now we are officially at committee announcements and such. Oh, I'm sorry, Ron, more city reports.
Yeah, before you do that, go on to that, I do want to give just a little bit of report from some city council action and some staff action. So you mentioned, and we talked a little bit about the biggest thing that the city council has done is the composting pickup, which is set to begin in March. I might point out that we are starting to receive emails that are upset about that because of the increase that's associated with their bills. And so along with what North Lincoln Sanitary is doing, we will also be trying to do a little bit of PR and promotion so people understand what is going on, especially with our frontline staff that answer phones, so that we're kind of keeping a list of the frequently asked questions that are coming in so that we'll be able to respond to those. Another thing that took place was that the city council adopted a food cart ordinance. And one of the provisions that they put into that, and they discussed quite a bit about plastics and polystyrene and the packaging and of the food. And they put a provision in that said mobile food units shall comply with all city ordinances concerning packaging, including any prohibitions on specific materials, e.g. polystyrene. So they put that in place so that when they do move forward with that, it's not an adjustment that they have to make in that ordinance. Now, the other thing that I wanted to report is that for quite a few months now, everything has been COVID-19, but we're kind of hitting a little bit of a rhythm with the city staff, which means we're trying to start turning our attention to some of the projects that the council had asked us to work on and to start bringing them back forward to you. Now, Dave had attended one of our meetings and had discussed your proposals on 3 areas of plastic reduction, sustainable landscaping, and sustainable food events. Those are projects. Dave's now been here about a month, which is long enough for him to feel comfortable, or at least I feel comfortable with him, to start assigning those projects, to start taking those to the city council. We will probably need your help. I know Dave will need your help as we start trying to put together those proposals for the city council on, now that we've received your proposal, now we got to put together the implementation plan on how to make those happen. So just know we'll be contacting you in the near future to talk a little bit more about, so we can start putting together those plans and how they go forward.
Great.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, I was just going to say that as far as the composting and like the PR and getting people excited about it, yeah, it's an additional cost on your bill. But one thing that I was surprised about and kind of bummed about when we first moved here was that there wasn't anywhere to put grass clippings. We'd moved from Washington County actually, and so you're so used to putting everything into a greens bin. So I think that's one way to get people more excited about it. I don't know what people normally do, you know, it's kind of hard at home to put that kind of stuff somewhere. All the blackberry bushes and things like that, they clip around your house. I know we don't have a truck, so it's always a big problem. Anyways, I was thinking that could be an angle that you're like, hey, tired of having to figure out what to do with all this stuff? Now, you know, it comes to you and it's only a small cost. So that's just something that popped in my head.
Great idea. This bin is X dollars a month. This Dodge truck is $62,000.
Yeah.
40 million months. Who else? Yes, Richard.
One thing I just wanted to mention, you're talking about sustainable landscaping. I don't know if anybody realizes, but the city has 3 landscaping guides that it prepared, one for ground cover, one for shrubs, and one for trees. On the city web page under the documents and forms. It does mention that some are like wind tolerant or salt tolerant and such. I wanted to do a 4th volume on edible landscaping, but the person who was doing them left the city before we could get that one done. But I think this all may contribute to the sustainable landscaping issue, and maybe it would be, might want to take a look at those landscaping guides and see if maybe they should be or could be revised some to be more reflective of the sustainability approach.
The last sustainability committee that I attended in person, Deanna Hinton brought a guide that she worked really hard on, I believe, when she was in Portland, and shared it with us, which has some of that, but then, I mean, it was pretty comprehensive. And I don't know, did you guys decide as a committee to do something with that, or?
She presented it to us. I don't remember where that was left because that was right before COVID. So
Yeah.
I think it was the last in-person meeting we had.
It might have been, yeah.
Yeah, I think so, Tina. And you may remember that if she attended that meeting, one of our members who has since resigned her membership, it was actually her project, her idea to submit. And so the 3 of us may not be as versed on what her objectives were for the landscaping ideas. I know that some of it certainly had to do with public education. I think she wanted to introduce people to alternatives to products like Roundup, that sort of thing.
Right.
Other Dawn, Sarah, what am I forgetting about that?
It really, when Deanna presented her material, it really dovetailed, I thought, pretty completely with what Catherine was wanting. So I think if we just go back and look at that material again, we'll be able to refresh our minds as to what was, I do think that we had decided that we wanted to focus a little more on the plastics and polystyrenes. And so it wasn't of our priorities. It wasn't like number one, but it also was something we were all really interested in. So if that's helpful at all. But
Can I just make a comment from the peanut gallery over here? Just a thought, you mentioned Roundup and sustainable gardening. The household hazardous waste event we just held down here, I just am paying the bill. There's some changes to the bill, but it was $30,000 for these 75 cars to be coming through. The majority of that material was either gas or pesticide or herbicide pesticide. That was about $11,000 of that $30,000 bill. So I just wanted, as far as thinking about programs and things to attack and address, I'm not trying to step into this styrene issue, just trying to state there is a whole world of unmet need that we're going to need to do some promotion education on in the solid waste world. Tina doesn't even know that yet. I haven't told our Slack committee. But there's some, we need to focus some areas, and the more you do that sustainable gardening, the fewer dollars we have to spend on getting to that gunk. Anyway, just a comment.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Really good point.
So on that note, I don't really know how to put this, but now that we've got everybody in the room, Tina and you down at the, so I confess that I don't really know enough about your organization. I don't know if it's just an industry funded, like sort of an arm of the Thompson Dahl, North Lincoln Sanitary, sort of that work, and if so, if there would be any conflict, if ever, like this group is, or at least was, passionate about pursuing some sort of polystyrene ban, and I, we don't like to use the word ban, but there were a lot of ideas on the table, including cost abatement ideas that wouldn't impact small business. However, we've shelved that, at least I certainly have, until we get past this situation, because I think it's a cross too heavy for the small business community to bear, or at least absorb. And but what I'm driving at is, if we got to a point where the sustainability committee said we want to move forward on this again, is it fair to say that maybe, because I know, Tina, you and I have had conversations at Rotary and elsewhere of that maybe we don't agree on this, and would we be sort of loggerheads with the solid waste organization and countywide? Would you say, well, the added weight to haulers means we're not going to pursue, or whatever, lots of other arguments that could be brought to bear about styrofoam? My dad used to work for a styrofoam company, so I'm very familiar with them. But
well, first of all, Dave, I don't think that we disagree on it. The conversations that I had with you, and I apologize if I miscommunicated that, my biggest concern was the timing issue of it moving. I didn't want the message to be we need to move to compostable food containers at the same time that we were educating about the compost program, because we cannot have that material in the compost bins. And so I just was super concerned about the messaging and a conflict in people's heads of, okay, we're gonna ban polystyrene containers and move to compostable containers, and isn't it great because we can put them in these new compost bins that we're all gonna be getting in March. And that's what I didn't want to happen. It's not that I am anti or disagree with you in banning that. I'm not a polystyrene fan by any means. And then to back up to the Lincoln County Solid Waste District is funded by the ratepayers. So each hauler in the county pays $4 a ton to the Solid Waste District, which is a fund in the county's budget. And so Paul is a county employee that is and should benefit the entire county. He is supervised by the county commissioners, but there is a Lincoln County Solid Waste Advisory Committee. Each city has a member, and you are very blessed. And I want to say again how fortunate Lincoln City is to have Judy, because she's been great. Each city has a member, each hauler has a member, the county has a member, there's a member at large. And am I missing anybody, Paul?
That covers it. So there's a regional solid waste advisory committee, and I am a resource to this group that you have, to the cities, to the haulers. I am an educational resource for it. And if you don't mind, I'll jump into your styrene question. It's not that we'd be opposed. Tina's right on message on that. My question is, with Juneau, with that coming online, they're going to take aseptics and cups and other things. Will your industries automatically gravitate towards that because they can use that? Anyways, I don't know the answers to these things. And I would like to know more before you implement programs. Before I recommend or get involved with implementing a program, I like getting best bang for the buck, and that's your sustainability at heart. It's not, styrenes, as far as garbage goes, is light, so it doesn't hit our, when I say our, the solid waste communities DEQ requirements as hard, but that certainly is something in the community that we want to make sure is properly managed and reduced as necessary. So I don't want to go around a limb, but I do want to state that it's not the primary focus. I think we have bigger bangs for our buck when you talk about trucks driving and gas and all those other things involved.
Oh, totally. And I appreciate that. I think when our committee's talked about that, well, I can say that I don't want to speak for Sarah and Dawn, but one of the key things that trumps the weight issue for us is the fact of where we are. Like we've often said, this is a different conversation perhaps in Wichita, Kansas, or maybe even Washington County, but we're on the beach, we're on the front lines, and these things that blow out of cars and the things that we find doing beach card bingo, styrofoam is a frequent culprit. And because it does tend to move and it is very light and the wind loves it. And so I think that's part of where our passion comes from.
Exactly. And so that you'll have a localized focus. It's not that we'd be opposed to it.
Okay, cool.
I did disagree with you on plastic bags. I will admit that.
That's a different topic.
Well, one thing I think that might help, because I know I've looked into alternatives for styrofoam and all that stuff, and it's really frustrating that a lot of them say compostable, and then in teeny tiny writing, it's like in industrial facilities only, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, most people will not look into the fact that it's not actually compostable. So I agree on that. And I think what we would have to do is just be really careful about verbiage when COVID's finally over and all that stuff, and we roll out a program and a ban on styrofoam, to the businesses kind of saying the correct verbiage of what we want it to be made of instead, and what can be done with it when people are done using it. And that's kind of, it is a challenge, but I still think it's the right direction. And I'm still really excited about it, even though we have to wait a while.
Amen. And one note about Juneau. Juneau is a fascinating conversation, and I think we've probably just shared enough that anyone watching this is going to be like, I need to look into that, because it is really amazing. I saw a presentation probably more than a year ago at the Uquinta Bay Economic Foundation, and GP brought their engineers in and walked us through it. And one of the very first questions was, is our trash going to go there and be repurposed or recycling? And the short answer was no. We need clean enough stream, and we need enough of it that we really can't do that locally, but it's really something we could, aspirationally we could shoot for later, but it would take very specific collections efforts. Tina, are you on board with that? Does that sound right?
That is what we were told when we were given the dog and pony show, but I just sat in a meeting last week with Paul, and Dahl Disposal was in that meeting, and Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, Dahl is under the impression that they're taking our trash.
So,
Did you hear that?
We're on camera, so I'm going to be real shy here on this. I don't know the real answer at this point, and I would like to know more before we go, because there's a lot of speculation. The plant certainly has the capacity to do some pretty cool things. What waste stream, how it's going to impact your rates, routes, and services, I don't yet know. And that Dahl's going to have some choices, all the retailers are going to have some choices, and they'll be bringing that to your cities.
So what I do know, and that's not hearsay, is we were told very specifically that this trash was not coming from Lincoln County, that it was coming from west of the Mississippi. And it was, they were focusing on like shopping malls, hospitals that had compactors full of, you know, soda cups, paper plates, you know, to-go food containers, with very little wet waste in it, that those compactors would be run through a local transfer station, baled and wrapped, and then shipped to GP, where then they would, at that point, go through their gobstopper machine, Juno, I guess, whatever they call it. And, you know, the fiber would be pulled, and that there's about a, at the time they were thinking that they would have about a 30% residual. The plastic would come out in little wads. The tin and aluminum would be separated out by magnets. And I mean, it's pretty fascinating. But I mean, honestly, I haven't heard any other absolutes since then. Lots of hearsay.
I'll go down one rabbit hole, and that is, there is an awesome opportunity here with the organics program that you have. And I'm talking about commercial, I'm talking about several years of thinking, and it may impact rates, routes, and services. So this is a rabbit hole. But if you were to take most of your materials that you can recycle, remove those, most of the materials that you can compost, remove those, and Juno gets what we consider most of your trash from a fast food place, you have a pretty ultimate program in this area, which is extreme. You don't get this kind of stuff in rural areas very often, and you have these opportunities. So I think there's a real cool opportunity for us to say to Juno, hey, all of this stuff, which we really would normally say throw away, including all the milk cartons from schools, you ought to be taken. That could change, but it's going to impact rates, routes, and services. We're going to have to look at how we collect these things as a community, and not just one community, in all of them. So that's why I'm very hesitant to jump down and say, oh yeah, it's going to be this, because I think you have a really cool opportunity in the near future. I don't know that, but I speculate that it's going, and other places will be jealous. That's my hope.
That's fascinating to hear. The conversation that you hear a lot in COVID era is, well, maybe we can capitalize on remote workers, and as people move away from traditional workspaces, and that's the kind of selling point that marketed to the right demo might, you know, help us attract those types of coveted clean industry workers who work without driving on Highway 101, which is a huge deal for us. But anyway, thanks for that. I appreciate it, and I'm sure everyone who's watching this recording, all four of them, will give us our speculation. I think we are at the end of the agenda. Sarah, Dawn, what else do you have to add?
I have a couple of things. One of them is, throughout the meeting, you hear us talking about marketing and pushing, educating, things like that. I would really like it if the city could consider a sustainability website or web page. Our sustainability web page, if you look at it right now, is black print on a gray background, and it has our names and links to meetings, and that's about it. And there's a lot of things that we get pretty excited about, you know, the beach bingo, the the education that needs to happen around the composting bins, things like that. Not to replace what Tina's doing, but there also is a perspective of the city. And it seems like if we had a sustainability website with a focus on, you know, sustainability, zero waste. Anyway, so I just wanted to put in a plug for that. I don't need an answer, just, oh, and also the guides that Richard was talking about. Anyway, sorry, Ron, go ahead.
I actually have a request, and I'm glad that you brought this up. One of the budget items we have for this year is to redo our webpage, our city's webpage. It's ancient, it's outdated. There's lots of stuff on it that no one ever looks through. Any suggestions that you guys have on what you would like to see in a webpage as you look through ours? Let me know. We're kind of asking that of all of the committees on what they would like to see on that. So if you want to just feed that through Dave, then he'll be part of our project.
Okay, awesome.
I like that idea a lot too.
Yeah. My other item that I have just real quickly is I think that the sustainability committee that we need to have maybe once a year go back and look at the city's sustainability plan, the city's sustainability objectives, and just see, are we in line with them? And are there places where those plans and objectives we need to recommend maybe some changes to them? We did that, I know, when the three of us first joined, we had a little exercise where we did that, and I thought maybe it might be good to have that be an annual thing, to put that on the agenda for once a year, take a look at those materials and let them see the light of day. And like I said, are we following them? If not, is there something else that they should be changed? You know, should we ask the city council to recommend a change? Those are my two things.
Yeah, I agree with both of those for sure. The web page especially, because I think even if people are not necessarily going to the city's webpage to find out additional information about the sustainability committee, I think if they're there anyways and they kind of go down a rabbit hole, it'd be useful information to have in another place. So about the composting and just things in general, you know, what happens to the compost after it's collected, and you know, awareness about beach cleanups, and just all that stuff in one place, and looking nice, so it's attractive to actually click on and learn about. I like that idea a lot.
I like that idea a lot too. And I think, coming right at you, Tina, I think that one of the things that might be a glimmer of some positive thing that comes out of COVID is that we're all much more comfortable with distance delivery content. And it may be that committees like ours might never put more than 3 butts in seats in the Northwest Conference Room, but we might have 20 people who might want to tune in to hear a discussion about styrofoam or whatever crazy idea we tackle. And I think that a website that was compelling and that could have that content and might even have a promotional video that says, well, here's what we're going to be talking about and why, might be helpful in that. So Tina, you had something.
Two things with regards to the website and educational material. I think I agree with Sarah. You know, if somebody's going to be somewhere and if you can get them to click on something, you know, great. And so we would love to share our PDFs, you know, recycle guides, compost guides, all of that with you. We also have really great videos on our website. One of them, you know, like it's called Little Pieces of the Earth, and it, you know, everything that you recycle, it follows it from the curb through the recycling process back to the manufacturing process. We're looking at, Paul's going to help us with something similar for compost. So any of that stuff. And then if you guys have things that we could have on our website, you know, I just think that's, you know, all the better, because some people move from communities where the municipalities provide the solid waste and recycling services. So they're going to go to your website to look for recycling information or whatever.
Yeah.
So if they're there and they can find, the recycling information, great. The second thing that I was going to talk about is one of the areas that I think we need to do a better job as a company and as a community is our reducing and reusing. I think we've nailed the recycling. And I think that you guys are on the right track with your polystyrene reduction. But we've talked to Paul about, helping with that program. And I know Ron has done a lot of work with the city on reusing and reducing, but the DEQ actually requires us now as a waste shed to have a reduce reuse program. And we've been getting away with, oh yeah, we have this, we put this on Facebook and I go to Rotary and talk about, whatever. But I think we need to step up on that game of reducing and reusing. And I think Paul's going to be a great asset in that. But, if we can incorporate that into, what you guys are doing, and when I say you guys, I include myself because I'm happy to pitch in wherever that falls. But that is one area where I will admit that we do not do as good a job as we should.
Groovy. Thank you very much, Tina. Appreciate that. All right. Well, if that's all that we have from committee reports, I think it's time to adjourn the meeting unless anyone, last chance, anyone have anything else? All right. Thank you very much. We'll look forward to the next meeting being back at 3 o'clock. Everyone note that. And then Dave, if you need any other information between now and the time we schedule that, don't hesitate to holler. One final thought. I'm not exactly sure when we assumed the various roles we have in the committee. And I don't know that I need to be chair for more than a term or a year, whatever that is. And so we might need to revisit that at the next meeting.
Yeah, I think that is in the Sustainability Committee's charter.
Yeah.
So this would be a matter of looking at it and see when the terms of office and things are, I believe, if I remember right.
Sounds an awful lot like what a chair would say.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So,
All right.
and it also, one of the other things I noticed when I went to the website to look for the minutes was our terms of office are on there too. So you guys can go look and see when. So, okay, I'm done again.
No, that's great. And there's a link to our website, our web page in the chat.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Thanks, everybody. And thanks for sticking with us in the evening, city people. We appreciate it. Nice to meet you. And Mr. Seitz, thanks for joining us. And we'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.